Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'd like to start with a quote. The ears of the leader must ring with the voices of the people. Great president once said that. Mr. President, I rise today to make it clear to everyone in this chamber exactly why I cannot support this legislation. You've heard the chants outside this chamber, not just today and last night, but many times over the past 2 years. Thousands of people have shown up, union and non-union, men and women, mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, even their children. These are the working families of Michigan. These are the thousands of people that I would sit here to represent. When I vote no, I'm voting no on behalf of the thousands of families. Who are you voting yes for? Grover Norquist? I know he sent you all a letter asking you to support this anti-worker legislation. You are voting yes because a handful of corporate lobbyists, a handful of fat cats in the back are telling you to. That's who you work for, the powerful few, the guys with top hats and monocles. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. I work for the people, for the many. I proudly represent them in casting this no vote. I'm doing what's right, what's good for the people. And I tell you this, Mr. President, we will fight you. We will not let this stand. We'll fight you from Kalamazoo to Timbuktu. We'll fight you from the streets and in the suites. We'll fight you in the penthouse and we'll fight you in the outhouse. And Mr. President, I'll tell you this right now, when it's all said and done, when it's all over, we will grab the thunderbolt of truth. We will grab the rod of revolution and we will have our victory. And the spoils will go to the working people of Michigan. And you will forever remember the day when you thought you could conquer labor. You were sorely mistaken. Be prepared to engage in the fight of your life. You might win this battle, but the wars are brewing, sir. The wars are brewing, sir. And we're coming, and we're taking no prisoners, and we're taking no quarter. And Mr. President, when all said is done, working men and women of this state will reign supreme. Thank you, and I ask that my comments be printed in the journal.
As your constitutional right.
Hello and welcome to the Young Effect. I am your state Senator Coleman Alexander Young II. Always a pleasure to be here with you live on TV 33 WHPR. You can watch us all around the world at www.tv33whpr.com. I want to start right now talking about and honoring our veterans. Those are the men and women who give the ultimate sacrifice of their lives for the freedoms and rights that we have and so richly enjoy right here in the good old US of A, the United States of America. We want to thank them. We want to thank everyone who's ever put on the uniform, whether you're in Afghanistan or in Iraq, or whether you are here locally, our police, our firefighters, our emergency services personnel, anybody who is a hero. We want to say we love you and we appreciate you and we thank you and thank God for you. So please join me for this moment of silence as I honor the brave men and women who continue to fight on the battlefields of Iraq, Afghanistan, and for all our local heroes right here at home in the city of Detroit. Please join me for a moment of silence. All right, thank you for that. That being said, first of all, I want to give you the numbers. You can call in at 313-868-0351 or 313-868-4336. That's 313-868-0351, 313-868-4336. 836. Those are numbers for you to call in. I want to talk about what's going on with this election recount. I want to get your thoughts on it. I also want to talk about bridging the divide, healing America. It what's happening right now. Whole lot of stuff going on. I talked about this last week. I'm talking about a little bit again. Want to chop up good game with you. Want to talk to you about what's happening in terms of the fact there have been over 900 hate incidents in this country. 900. And Michigan is leading the Midwest in terms of hate incidents. 900. And according to the Southern Poverty Law Center, that's underrepresented. And remember, the Southern Poverty Law Center is the group that bankrupted the KKK. They're the reason why the KKK is as small as it is today. It's because of the Southern Poverty Law Center. So they know what they're talking about when they're talking about hate groups and these other things. And this has all happened since Donald Trump got elected President of the United States of America. Now, let me say this also. Jumping back to, I kind of went on tangent there, but jumping back to the original topic at hand, talking about these election recounts. They said there were 70,000 ballots where people did not vote for the president or vote in the presidential election. That means they skipped the part where it said president and they went down the ballot. 70,000. This whole elections issue was brought up by election experts and by cybersecurity experts. They were talking to, including one from the University of Michigan. They're in court right now basically deciding here to file a decision on this recount as it continuing to go forward or not. But from my understanding, in Wayne County, they said they found over 500. They found over 500 votes. Just happened to find 500 votes. They're saying that 70,000 people did not vote for president. 70,000. Think about that for a minute. For the sake of the integrity of the ballot and for the sake of integrity of democracy, we have to make sure that every vote is counted. That's why I support this recount. Because if we don't have this recount, we're not going to know how many people voted or not. Now, I'm not saying it's going to change the results. It's not going to change the outcome. Donald Trump is still going to be president. But I think to make sure that we preserve and protect the integrity of the vote and the democratic process, we need to have this recount. And people are saying it's expensive. It is expensive. But I think the cost of people having voted for president or other elections and those votes not being counted is much more expensive than whatever price we have to pay in order to make sure that every single vote is counted. So we'll keep our eyes on that, see what's going on with that front. I think it's something that has to happen. I think it's something we need to make sure that we have every single vote that's counted, and we're going to look at that very closely. Also, I just wanted to say, it's a lame duck, y'all. And as you know, the Republicans, as they control the House and the Senate and the White House, they also control the House, the Senate, and the governorship in Michigan. And right now in Michigan, they are talking about adding new voter suppression laws, one of which basically says if you walk into your ballot, your voting place, and your voting precinct, you go to vote. When you go to vote and you show up and you don't have your photo ID or an ID, usually what happens is stick your hand up, you swear an affidavit, you say, I am so-and-so, I'm here to vote. They say, okay, sign some paperwork, you go fill out paperwork, check out a box, you go vote, and that vote is counted. Now what they trying to do is change the law that says that you go in, you don't have any ID, you put your hand up, you say, I'm so-and-so, I'm here to vote. You vote, read your provisional ballot, if, then after, because you showed up without your ID, if you don't show up within 10 days and show them your ID, that ballot doesn't count. You know, before I can keep going, do we have some callers? Caller, you on the air. Welcome to the Young Effect. Hello? We were calling.
Hey, Senator Coleman Young Jr., how are you doing,
Hey, what's going
today?
on?
I'm doing pretty fine.
Excellent. Good to hear from you.
Huh?
Good to hear from you.
Yeah, State Senator Coleman Young, the past couple of weeks I've been trying to catch you on TV, and it's like your time zone changed from 4 to 7 o'clock.
Yeah, well, I'm here now, man.
Okay,
I ain't gone nowhere. I'm back.
Okay, State Senator Coleman Young Jr., I'm not accepting no Ku Klux Klan Donald Trump as President of the United States of America.
Turn your phone down. Look, man,
Okay,
you can accept
I'm
him.
on
You cannot
speakerphone. Let me
accept
grab
him.
another phone. But,
He's the president.
Okay, you there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, it's like this right here. I'm gonna tell you something. Years ago, Vanessa Williams won a pageant as Miss America that I want to talk to you about. As Miss America. When they found out that she posed it for a new magazine before you was born, you weren't born during that time.
It sounded a little bit before my time.
They drug her name through the mud. They stripped her of her title, called her unfit woman and everything, but God raised her up. God raised her up, and she became powerful, so she had a singing voice, so she was able to get her career back together.
Yeah, I remember that.
Think about this right here.
I was a toddler when that went down, but I remember that. Yeah.
Right. Think about this right here. You have Donald Trump wife that your mother brought up about 2 or 3 months ago, posted for a magazine naked. And she gonna be the first lady of the United States of America. What kind of example can she show for the younger generation of females?
Man, you don't even have to talk about Melania. You could just talk about the stuff that he was doing or saying. You could talk about when he was running the Miss USA pageant. And he would talk about how he was sitting in rooms, and he was watching girls that were 13 undress in front of him.
Right.
And
something else too. Did you see that racist video that when they was doing the Did you see that racist video when they was doing the hell hitter salute to Donald Trump?
Yeah. Hail Trump.
It was on. I called Channel 4 and told them about this, how they don't do propaganda. Hugh Perkins brought it up on his Facebook page and everything, and showed that this person is a racist. It's still playing on the internet. A lot of people need to pay attention to that.
These are white supremacist
he is a
organizations.
Racist. I would never accept a KKK president.
But all right, my man. Listen, I appreciate
And I'm just going to tell you just like it is, point blank.
I totally understand where you're coming from.
I would never accept him. And I'm glad they're doing this recount and everything. Maybe they might be able to find how fraud this election is.
Yeah, man.
And he don't want it.
We have to wait and see. Have to wait and see. Well, listen, we appreciate it. We thank you. And like
Okay,
I was
God
saying,
bless you. Keep up the great job and everything, what you're doing and everything. God is on your side.
yeah,
Be your own
thank
man.
you. I appreciate you, brother. I love you. God bless you.
You too. All right, bye.
Thank you for your call. Always a pleasure. And before we get to this call, I just want to say this, man. Yeah, I mean, these are white supremacists. These are not, and this is not normal to have a person who's endorsed by the KKK, Donald Trump, and then be celebrated by the KKK. And have you always noticed how he is like fire and brimstone and just iron-fisted and extremely aggressive and even belligerent when it comes to attacking people like Hamilton, or when it comes to attacking people like Alec Baldwin or SNL. But when it comes to white supremacists, all of a sudden he starts to have these fireside chats. All of a sudden he starts to become like, James Lipton inside the actor's studio. He's real genteel, soft, I don't know if you remember Boy Meets World. He comes, Principal Feeney. Remember him? Real soft and genteel, and come to my office and we'll talk. That's who he becomes all of a sudden with white supremacists. So he has a lot of work that he's going to have to do. He's the president. Everybody who supported him, congratulations. I am in no way taking Democrats off the hook for this. There were a lot of people who voted for Trump who were racist, who were bigots, who were homophobic, who were xenophobic. There were a lot of who were misogynistic, who were male chauvinists, a lot of people who voted for Donald Trump because of that. But there were also a lot of people who voted for him based on economic reasons. And because they saw in his mind that he represented change. And I believe that to those group of voters, we could have did a much better job in these rural areas of reaching out to them and having an economic message that would reach out to them. And I was surprised that we did talk to Bernie Sanders more. And I think we kind of took advantage of African-American voters a little bit too. And didn't talk to them the way we could have had. And I'm going to tell you, I thought that incident between, and it's unfair to blame her, but I thought that incident between Bill Clinton and that Black Lives Matter supporter, and him lecturing this Black Lives Matter supporter on Black Lives, I thought that was terrible. And she could have did a better job in terms of, talking about the issue of super predators. And let me also say this, black women took care of business. Black girl magic.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just because you magic don't mean you're not real. They took care of business. 92% vote count, they took care of business. But there were other groups that we had to reach out to that we didn't. And could have did a better job, and we didn't. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. I think I got another caller on the line. Caller, you on the air. What's in Young Effect?
Hello.
Hey.
Hi, this is Kathy from the East Side.
Hey, Kathy, what's going on?
Nothing much, but I just appreciate you coming on and talking about this. It's done, it's over, and we're going to have to accept this guy, unfortunately. And this is what happens when we have a black president for 8 years. People were angry, and so this is what we get. And you're right, the Democrats did sleep on this. Hillary was at fault. It was totally on her, and she just knew she had it, and she was too cocky. However, we have to move forward. And it was just good to see you this morning on Let It Rip. I just wish I didn't. I wish I could have sent some tweets over this morning. But it was just good to see you with that. I can't remember her name, but she's from the Republican Party.
Yeah, I think Lena
that you were
Epstein.
able to talk in a manner that was very much of a gentleman, much of a politician, and was able to tell her congratulations on her candidate. It was just good to see that. And I just was so proud of you as a constituent of your district that says that that's my senator and that you are the bigger person and that you did say congratulations to her. You were very much of a gentleman, because you really could have let her have it about her candidate. But again, we just got to move forward. We got to stop talking about this negative stuff. It is what it is. The people didn't vote. A lot of people didn't vote.
47% of the
so
state.
We can't complain. We have to move forward.
Yeah, 47% of the state. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's
yeah,
unfortunate.
We have to move forward. It's sad. It hurts. But again, we had our black president for 8 years, and now this is what we're going to get for hopefully not 8 years. You know, maybe he may crash and burn before the 4 years are up, but it is what it is. It is what it is. I've come to the conclusion that this is going to be our president. What can we do?
Yep.
What can we do?
What can
Again,
we do?
it's so good to see you. It's sad that they're thinking about what they're talking about, the voter right up there in Lansing. How ridiculous is that? Because if you do vote, even though you raise your hand and have to come back in 10 days, what sense does that make?
It's
10
just
days.
It's called blocking the
By
vote.
that time, they've already made the person who's won that election. And does that mean that they put my ballot in a separate pile? Does that mean they'll be able to see who I voted for?
Yeah.
If I vote, I mean, you know what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
just makes no sense.
Yeah, they will be able to see who
It
you
makes
voted for and
no
all that.
sense.
Takes away
And
the
the
secrecy for the
Republicans
ballot.
are so cocky. They don't even think about the things, all the way out. What sense does that make?
Yeah, it's a shame, and I'm going to get to this a little bit later. But they're also talking about taking teachers' pensions away, and they're talking about for new hirees. So you're going to have to go get a 401k.
Why are they doing that?
Well, I mean, it's basically just ideologically driven, and they're basically deciding that they're going to take teachers' pensions away, and the reason why they're doing that is because they just want to assault the teacher profession and break the union, and basically go after people who they consider rivals and enemies. And it has no basis in fact. It has no basis in savings. It actually cost us $2 billion over 5 years. So to suggest, or close to, so to suggest somehow that this is something that's going to actually save costs, it is ridiculous. It's actually going to take money out of the classrooms, out of books and desks and computers and paper and supplies, and instead is going to be used to pay off a liability that was created for something that was in the disguise of a reform and actually is school teacher pension deform. So we'll have to see how this goes. But I mean, I tell you, it's a mess, and elections have consequences.
Well, get ready, because they got your boy, the president, just put in place over education that chick DeVos, and she's going to make it where all the public schools are no longer private public schools. They're all these charter schools, money-making businesses, not teaching, but just money-making businesses.
And we have the
get ready.
And we have the most for-profit charters in this state.
Right, so she's going to be here probably a lot.
In the country. In the country. The most for-profit charters. This state has the most for-profit charters in the country.
And they're not doing anything. They're not doing anything. And you know what? As black folks, we need to start opening up our own charter schools. If that's the case, let's open up our own charter schools, and let's make some money and also teach our kids, our own kids. That's what we should be doing.
I think we need to start having standards for these authorizers that are authorizing these charter schools, and I think we need to start looking at what we can do to actually improve and preserve, and it's kind of weird to say preserve, but preserve our public school system. Because if we keep going the way that we're going right now, I don't see them surviving much longer.
It's not.
I mean, regardless of how much money they might have to stay over a couple of years, they're not going to survive much longer.
At the expense of our children.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking my call. Thank you for keeping up the good work and fighting the good fight for your people.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate you, Kathy. Love you. Thank you, Kathy. We got another caller? Caller, you on the air. Welcome to the Young Effect.
Yeah, good evening, Senator, Deputy Chief Amos.
Hey, Deputy Chief, what's happening?
Hey, look, I got a question for you. Infra News
Sorry about
have
the
it out.
proposal A, proposal B
They
thing,
reported that
That was tough.
you are supporting the innovative, supposedly innovative Brownfield tax
Yeah.
increment financing proposal by
Yeah.
Dan Gilbert.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you explain why?
Well, the reason why I'm supporting it is because, one, it had a neighborhood component that said that this can be used to actually transform and to tear down abandoned buildings within neighborhoods. So I believe that's good. I also believe that usually my opposition to it would be the fact that we need community benefits agreements to put people back to work. But when you put out a vote that says that you can't have mandates in the city attached to community benefits agreements, or that they can't be legally, you can't hold people legally to legally binding contracts, I'll kind of have my hands tied at a loss here. Because I support economic development. I support downtown economic development. But my whole premise of running and being elected was to make sure that working people in the city had access to these jobs and opportunities that were going on downtown. And now, because of this local vote for Proposal B, the one tool I had to deliver that has now been voted down and taken off the table.
Okay, now it's my understanding from my research that in Detroit, this tax plan, it will allow Dan Gilbert and other developers, even across Michigan, they will capture in their district, they will capture a portion of the local property tax,
Right.
but also the sales and the income tax. So if I lived in that district, I'm paying taxes. Dan Gilbert is not paying any taxes, and he's getting my taxes.
Well, here's the thing, though. They already have something in the city called property tax capture. So if you are in an area and you're a developer, you're trying to do neighborhood development, they have something where you can capture property taxes in order to develop that area already. That already exists. And this is for buildings where it's at least $100 million project. So that's not going to qualify for a whole lot of these projects that are going on. And he's talking about building these or rehabbing or retrofitting or whatever they're trying to do, skyscrapers here. That's what they're talking about, these large, gigantic projects in terms of rebuilding. I understand what you're saying. I'm not trying to say you should be for it or against it. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to explain to you why I support it and why this is the way that it is now.
Yeah, that was my question. Why did you support it?
Yeah.
So you answered it, and I appreciate your response.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good one.
You too. Always a pleasure, man.
Yep.
We got the caller?
Hello, Mr. Young.
Hey.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I see you got a nice show again today. Everybody's talking about what the people are doing, but they should have seen this coming all the time, Mr. Young. You know, they brought the drugs into the city of Detroit, and they put them in neighborhoods where they knew that eventually they would go cut that out anyway, because Donald Trump and them had that all planned. Now they're going to take it away from these other people now, and they're going to make it legal so they can buy it any place and kill each other, because they don't care. I don't know where they get this thing about this is their country, this is their city, this is their town. This is not theirs. This belongs to everybody. This says United States. That means everybody. If they look at their history, go back and get their history out, which all these people are talking about histories and things. Those people came from France. They came from France. They came from England. Those people were on a ship, tied up, roped up, and everything else. And then they stopped by Africa and got a few of them and brought them to the United States also. So they don't own no city of the United States.
The United States of America too. When they got here, there were Africans.
It was Africans here.
Oh, they were Africans here for the Indians.
That's right. And if you go up here on Mac, now you live not too far from this. You go up there, they got Indian Village. Who do you think own Indian Village?
Mm-hmm.
The Indians. They got graveyards out here, this park out here.
Mm-hmm.
They got everything out here, but yet and still, these black people in the city of Detroit, they want $1 or $2, so they'll sell their mama out for something and not listen to the people and these children in the city of Detroit. I don't care about what the grown people are doing. What they're doing to our children is a shame. No food in the schools, no nothing. But yet and still they can get on television and talk about what we got and what we're supposed to have. You're not going to have anything until we fight for it. I like what Kathy says. I like what some other people say. But we're not helping each other out. We're helping the man out that's selling the drugs, giving the money to them, because who invented this stuff was white folks any darn way. But everything that comes on now, you're killing our children. Shoot them in the head so they'll die. You know they're going to die when you shoot them in the head. So I don't understand this. Instead of us loving each other and taking care of each other and fixing these streets up for people to go on these streets and buy food and stuff, they don't want that. They'd rather go to a man and say, you buy, we fry. What in the heck is that? You buy, we fry. I learned how to cook when I was 8 years old. I learned how to do a lot of things, but it's the idea. These people don't care about us, but yet and still you go to their markets, you go to their stores, you go every place. And then you say something about your own race of people. And I have been around some people that have called me names that I didn't think that people knew these names. But that's okay because I'm going to be here a long time. If I'm sick, I'm still going to be here. But it's the idea, I believe in you. I believe in young people that's trying to help these people out and help these children out. I'm going to try to get to the meeting Tuesday. I don't know if they still having meetings at the downtown. But I want to talk to them anyway. Because they're not helping us. They're hurting these people. Come over here right now and you go to the alley. We got ropes tying up alleys with big old signs in them. And we got this white water now over here. We need somebody to come over here and see about this water because it's white now. It's that color. And somebody needs to come over here and see about this because they're not fixing anything, Mr. Young. And I thank you for taking my call. And you keep up the good work because if we had 15 more like you, this city would be in a damn good condition. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Issa. I love you. Appreciate you. Take care, Issa. Go to the caller. Caller, you on the air. Welcome to the Young Effect.
Hi, this is Kathy again.
Hey, Kathy again. Wow, twice in one day. What's going on, Kathy?
I just had to call back about I heard Dan Gilbert's name, and I know a lot of people think that downtown Detroit is called Gilbertville. But, and I'm not a fan of the guy, but you got to give the man some credit. I was reading the newspaper today about him not getting any tax breaks and how, you know what I'm saying, I just don't understand why people are so upset with this guy. He has the money. He's taking care of downtown Detroit. Why not support the guy?
I think people are just upset at the fact that, right now the city, 40% of the city is living in poverty, and poverty is increased in the neighborhoods proper. And the fact that we right now are in a city where people are literally fighting state government for the right to literacy in their school districts, that people are hurting, that the unemployment rate is in double digits right now, the auto insurance is the highest in the country. And so when you have these type of things, we have people who have their water shut off. We have people who are losing their houses due to not being able to pay the property taxes. I think, due to tax foreclosure or due to water shutoffs. I think that, when you have people who have their homes flooded and the city is not has not paid them yet for that. And as a matter of fact, they're making it harder in Lansing for people to be able to sue cities if there is floods that affect them and raw sewage back up in their houses because the combined sewer overflow, and because 50% or half the pumps don't work in the infrastructure like they're supposed to. So people are upset about that.
Say that he should be responsible for that? I'm just trying to figure out why he's saying that.
They view him as they view the city bending over backwards with tax breaks and tax dollars and with giving him opportunities that they themselves cannot receive. And that's really what it is. It's like, it's that separation between the working class and the elite class. And that's really how people are feeling. And that's the same type of motivation that drew people to vote for Donald Trump. Regardless of, they overlooked the racist stuff and overlooked the, and you could call them racial empathizers or racist sympathizers. That's on you. That's up to you. But, they overlooked the racist stuff. They overlooked the sexist stuff. They overlooked the bigotry. They overlooked the misogyny, the Islamophobia, all the hypocrisy of things that he was doing. You know what I'm saying? Where he, had his ties made from other countries and sent jobs over there. They overlooked all of that because he was talking directly to the issue of the working man being left out. And
Okay, I got it. Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate you answering the question. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You got another caller?
Hello. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Well, I just want to back you up on that as far as Dan Gilbert and the Illiches. The citizens of the city who have been here all this time have withstood all the terrible services, etc., but held it down, so to speak. We want to know what kind of breaks are we going to get? We don't get anything except increase in taxes. But then the millionaires and billionaires get all kind of breaks. So, to the average person, that's lopsided. That's not right. If they get a break on something, why come we can't get a break on something? You know what I'm saying? But I really wanted to call to speak on what's going on up there in Lansing in regards to police and fire in the state of Michigan having their health care compromised. Now, when the city of Detroit went through that bankruptcy, they strategically divided us into groups. They put the police and fire in one group. They put the general city workers in another group. And then they put the white retirees in another group because most of the black retirees retired between 2003 and 2010, and that's when they took out the most money and told us we had to pay everything back. My point is, and I've always said this, if they go for one group, don't think you're not next. Don't think you're special. Mm-hmm. They strategically broke us up so that they could get that yes vote.
Well, Pat, they're going after them now. They're going after police and fire with their pensions now.
That's what I'm telling you. That's my point. If they went after us, they coming after you too. But see, if police and fire and all the rest had stood strong with everybody, if we all stood strong, the old adage, united we stand, divided we fall, then we possibly could have fought it, because if we voted no, I don't think they could have done all that stuff that they did. But one group thought they was going to get a better deal. Oh, well, that ain't us. We going to vote yes. Okay, now it is you. Now, that's what I've been saying all this time. Whatever, they pick you off group by group. People don't understand that. If you make a deal with the devil, he coming back for you too. Come on. So, I feel for him, but wait. Hey, all I can say is welcome to the club. Wait till they go after their COLA. We don't get any more COLA forever. We don't get any more COLA. They made us pay money back. They reduced our pensions.
That's a cost.
Like I said, welcome
when
to
you
the
talk
club.
about COLA, you talk about cost of living. Cost of living adjustment,
and thank you for taking my call, and have a good evening.
Hey, love you. Appreciate you,
love
Pat.
You
thank
too.
you.
Bye-bye.
Take care now, Pat. When she said COLA, she talked about cost of living adjustment, so that your pension would adjust for your cost of living. And they took that away. And it's unfortunate. And now they're trying to do that to firefighters. I just never believed in, because it happened to me. Now we should let it happen to you too. I never believed two wrongs make a right. So, that's why I'm fighting for this. I think it's wrong. I think that police and fire should be able to have their pension and not have their pension taken away from them. But this is gonna be an issue, man. This is gonna be a crazy end of 2016. I'm telling you. All right, we got the caller. Caller, you on the air. Welcome to the Young Effect.
Hello. Hello?
Hey.
People moving in, people moving out, ain't nothing but a gangster party. The taxpayers are getting played, and the billionaires are getting paid. They coming. I told you weeks ago they was coming back for the pensions, and they coming after the school. They steadily cutting water off. People losing housing, air pollution, and the list goes on. We build stadiums and playgrounds for the billionaires, and we allow them to continue to dismantle our children's future, and the list goes on. It feels like Armageddon. It feels like we're in the war of Armageddon. But I guess we got to wake up. All this is going to help us wake up and shake up and realize we keep feeding a beast that does nothing for us but treat us like cattle and sheep, and for their own profits building continuously. Thank you for taking my call.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Love you. Thank you for calling. Love you right back. Got another caller. Hello, caller. You on the air.
Call me Young Jr.
Hey.
I'm sorry. Call me Young. You remember this talk about Carrier central air conditioners down south?
Yeah, Carrier.
Carrier, okay.
Yeah.
They have 2,100 employees, but they only save jobs for 800 employees.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they say nothing about the 1,300 is still going overseas.
Yeah.
So Donald Trump didn't really fully, he didn't really fully save the company.
Right.
He did what he could do, but he didn't do what he promised the people. Then they showed around the country, a little bit farther down, other plants is losing jobs and everything. He saved 800 jobs, but thousands on thousands, 40,000 jobs is steady being lost. That's where the media come in. The media show these things, then they look stupid talking about those 800 jobs.
Yeah.
When Obama saved millions of jobs.
It's 16 and had the longest record of private sector job growth in the country, in history. And he doesn't get enough credit for what he's done and what he's doing, and guided us out of the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression.
Right. They ain't going to give him no credit.
They ain't giving him no credit for that. None. Gave 20-something million people health care who didn't have it. They talking about dismantling that. There's a guy on MSNBC. It's called Chris Matthews, called Hardball. And he said basically what you have Republicans are doing is you're saying they're trying to put an asterisk next to this guy's name. And they're trying to take away all the progress that he's made to basically say, you really didn't get elected president. You really weren't the president. And all the stuff that you going to do, we going to try to undo. And they're going to find out it's going to be a lot harder than they think it is. It's going to be a lot harder than they think it is. It's going to be quite a notion. You're going to kick off 21 million people from health care. And you're going to get rid of the one stabilizing force that makes sure that people won't get pre-existing conditions anymore when they go for health care. Well, they won't be able to get insurance because of pre-existing conditions. This is going to be crazy. This is really going to be crazy what they're going to do. And how.
What do you think about the Pistons coming downtown, moving back to Detroit?
Say that again.
What you think about the Pistons moving back to Detroit?
I think it's great. I think the Pistons.
That's a blessing because they're not called the Auburn Hill Pistons. They called the Detroit Pistons.
Should have never left.
They should have never left. Before you was born, they used to play at Cobo Hall.
Mm-hmm. I saw them playing one of their games. I remember that. All right, thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
All right, God bless.
Love you. You got another caller. Caller, hello. Hello?
How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Yeah, I was wondering how did Dan Gilbert get a break on the money, the tax money that supposed to be going towards the high-end policemen. How did that billionaire get a break like that? See, that's the problem when they put retired people in office. They go along with that.
Well, I think the reason why is because you're talking about development, not just in terms of downtown. You're talking about development in terms of riverfront. You're also talking about development in terms of the neighborhoods too, because they had a program to apply that same principle to neighborhoods in terms of blight, in terms of rehab, and other such things in the neighborhood. So if you had a major program like that, you could give that to a developer where they can redevelop the neighborhood as well. That's why they did that. Hello? All right. Caller, you on the air?
Would that be me, State Senator Coleman Young?
Yes. Hi.
How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'd like to add a little statement here that was written, I think, maybe over 70 years ago.
Go ahead.
And I think it clearly states the situation that's going on not only in Detroit and Michigan, but throughout the world. It must be recognized that the cause of all world unrest, of the wars which have wrecked humanity and the widespread misery upon our planet can largely be attributed to a selfish group with materialistic purposes who have for centuries exploited the masses and used the labor of mankind for their selfish ends. This group of capitalists has cornered and exploited the world's resources and the staples required for civilized living. They've been able to do this because they have owned and controlled the world's wealth through their interlocking directorates and have retained it in their hands. They have made possible the vast differences existing between the very rich and the very poor. They love money and the power which money gives. They have stood behind governments and politicians. They have controlled the electorate. They have made possible the narrow nationalistic aims of selfish politics. That reminds me of our current election. They have made possible the business that are controlled, oil, coal, power, light, and transportation. And I might add water and land. They control publicly or sub rosa the world's banking accounts. The responsibility for the widespread misery to be found today in every country in the world lies predominantly at the door of certain major interests, groups of businessmen, bankers, executives of international cartels, monopolies, trusts, and organizations, and directors of huge corporations who work for corporate or personal gains along with selfish politics. So that's my statement, and I think it addresses many of the things that we're seeing in the city of Detroit and throughout the state of Michigan. You have a great day, State Senator Coleman Young.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for your call. The other caller?
Senator.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Deputy Chief. Hey,
Deputy
real
Chief.
quick, Kathy needs to understand that this thing is not personal about Dan Gilbert. This is business. When the developers are not paying their taxes, okay, this is one of the reasons why we do not have an even balance of city services for the city of Detroit. If Kathy would look at it, all the folk that have the money, the Illiches, the Gilberts, the Penskes, the Kamanas, all those folk, they have all the services, police, fire, EMS, all the top quality services downtown and in Midtown. The question is, what Kathy and others should look at, what do you have in your community? And so in your neighborhood. And so when like I say, when the developers are not paying their taxes, who are paying the taxes? It's the citizens. It's Kathy. Not only is Kathy paying her taxes, she's paying Dan Gilbert, Kamanas, Illich. She's paying a portion of their taxes. So it's not personal. It's just business. And this is what we have to stop if we're going to have an even balance of city service throughout the city of Detroit.
I just also want to say, just remind everybody that there is a neighborhood component to this as well. So you can use this type of tax structure in order to rebuild and develop neighborhoods as well.
Yeah, okay, so like when he created his district, okay, again, Kathy could be living in his district. He's not paying any taxes. She's paying her taxes and his taxes, and he's capturing a portion of the sales tax, the income tax, and the property tax in that district, but he's not paying anything.
Off the value
So
of that building.
regardless if he used his money in the past, the point is going forward, he wants to use taxpayer dollars, which would affect not only the living taxpayers, but when they pass on, their children and their grandchildren will be paying some damn taxes.
But they
20,
live
25
where he
years
built
from
at.
now.
They live where he built at. So, I mean, those are his buildings that he owns where those folks live at.
Yeah, but I'm talking, if
That he
you
paid
look
for
at the
to increase the
definition
value
of tax
capture.
increments financing, it's in his district. He's creating a district, okay? And if you live in that district, like I say, you're paying taxes. It don't have to be in his building. It's his district, okay?
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. The other caller? Caller, you on the air. What's the young effect?
The last caller sound like what I was just saying. It's nothing but a gangster party, and it's globally being done. These people have been running the country. These, what I call them, billionaire, greedy, money-getting junkies. Corporate rules and corporate greed don't have no room for humanity or equality. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right, love you.
Love you too. The caller? That's it? Okay. So I just want to say I appreciate that, and I thank you for those calls. Also, I want to talk about I also want to talk a little bit more about what was going on in terms of the elections, in terms of this voter suppression drive they have going on right now, where basically you have a situation where you have people who are literally going to be able to see how people voted. You are talking about taking away the secrecy of the ballot for people who are coming in to vote. And this cuts really on racial lines, because you have a lot of African Americans who do not have voter ID. They do not. They don't have voter ID. And they coming in here to vote. And as usual, they swear an affidavit, whatever, sign it, and leave. They'll sign it, vote, and leave. Now they got to provide something that they don't have. So all the folks that vote that don't have photo ID are now going to be stricken from the rolls. This is voter suppression. And people talk about, well, if you got to use an ID to buy a bottle of aspirin, or use an ID to, get into certain places or drive a car, you should have to use an ID to vote. Well, first of all, driving a car or buying a bottle of aspirin is not a constitutional right. Voting is. And you shouldn't be putting barriers on people's constitutional fundamental rights to vote. It's a problem. People done died for the right to vote. They're bled for the right to vote. We got a caller? Caller, you on the air. Welcome to the Young Effect.
Get some backbone and get a woman.
Thank you for your call. I appreciate it. I love you too, but I don't think a long-term relationship is going to work out. We got the caller? All right. So look, like I was saying before, the only reason why you have these type of problems is because they trying to suppress the ballot. We got to vote. We got to get up. We got to get out. We got to take our souls to the polls, and we have got to vote. 47% of the state didn't vote. 47%. If you want this stuff to change, you want this stuff to be different, we gotta go vote, y'all. We gotta go vote. It's just that simple. But they can't have no vote to count if nobody went to vote. This is all decided by elections. All of it. You got another caller? Okay. All decided by elections. All of it. So that's my time. With that being said, I'm your state senator, Coleman Alexander Young II. We'll see you next time, right here on The Young Effect.
Bye-bye.